Hello, and thank you so much for joining me for these 20 suggestions, lists of tips, or however you want to call them. Really 20 lessons, I would say, would be the best way to put it, that I've learned as a fitness professional when it comes to providing virtual content for your members or for your participants. So I've had to learn all of these things really fast. I'm filming this video about 20 days after our gym has suddenly closed due to the illness that we all know about. And I was excited once I had compiled this list together for myself and for my team. Why not share it with the rest of the fitness industry, with the rest of the world? And these tips might be useful for people who, even if you're not doing anything in the fitness industry, if you're running team meetings or if you're trying to build a community virtually, really with any type of genre, whether it's fitness or if it's just public speaking or something, it's really helpful to have these tips, I think, for anyone who wants to do a great virtual experience. So I'm going to run through all 20 and I'm going to kind of dive into some more detail, and I'll list all 20 in the notes for this as well, this video as well. So you can either read them or you can listen to me blab on as to how I learned that lesson and why I recommend making sure you do these things. So the first tip that I'm going to share is to definitely always have a schedule. So for a fitness experience, announcing your schedule in advance, well in advance to when you are teaching. So for my team right now, we're doing a lot of virtual classes on Facebook Live and Instagram Live. And in those instances, we kind of go day by day. So we're advertising for the class schedule about the night before, and then we're sending a newsletter out to our members via email, and that is saying a more detailed list of exactly what to expect on what day, more days in advance. So we've been advertising to our members about 3 days in advance. You could go longer. It's just a matter of re-advertising for what's coming up next so that they can know what to expect next. If they don't know you're going live ahead of time, they could miss it, and that's going to be really sad for them if they really did want to interact with you for whatever virtual experience you're creating. So if you are going live, and if you're just going to be sharing content from YouTube or another place where you can actually save the videos, maybe it's an app, still advertise that schedule. When can they expect new content? When can they expect to see a new person or your own face teaching them fitness or sharing your content? So that's my number one tip, is make a schedule, provide it to your clients. And then next is kind of a safety disclaimer / security for yourself, for liability. And this has been coming up more recently as more and more gyms and more fitness professionals are sharing their content and their information virtually. They're starting to realize and think ahead, how can I make sure I cover myself if anything were to happen? And I do believe that I would say just getting ahead of that is important. We aren't sure how long all of this is going to last, so I'm not a lawyer. I can't necessarily tell you exactly what you need to do. But there are so many insurance companies, fitness insurance companies, that if you don't have liability insurance already, you can of course get that, and then you'll want to double check to make sure, does that liability insurance cover you for any virtual experiences? And if you work for a gym, if you're still on their staff, maybe check with that gym. Am I covered virtually for any classes that I provide or fitness experiences I provide? And then if you're not teaching for someone anymore and you used to have liability insurance with them, I would say, since this is definitely kind of an emergency crisis situation, this has never happened before, just putting a disclaimer at the very least, either in the description of whatever you're teaching or in like saying a disclaimer before you start teaching that, I waive all liability, make sure you do this, this, and this to be safe. I am a certified fitness professional. I will do my best to take good care of you. But by participating in this class, you are waiving the liability. You're waiving my liability to cover your costs or something. So, you can look up the technical terms and what you need to include in that, but I would say just being authentic and upfront for people to understand ahead of time, hey, I'm not liable for this. So enjoy class and be safe and follow my instruction, and you should be safe. So I would say take that extra step. We're learning more and more about that. That's all I really know about this for now, but it's good information to have. So second thing, safety disclaimer. Third is to hire someone to watch your live stream or to watch your video as you film it. So it's really helpful to have someone there, especially in a live stream, when your participants are starting to show up and start to comment, start to say hello. It's really nice to have that extra connection if someone's watching the live stream and then commenting at you, hey, Sarah's here, hey, Stephanie's here, hey, say hi to Ken or whatever. You can actually interact with them while you're going live with them. So I think that's really important. And then hiring someone also to be there for you when you're filming is they can tell you, is your video cutting off because of low internet connection? Is your storage full on your phone if you're trying to actually film it for your phone or for your device that you're filming it on? Did you run out of storage? And then you don't want to teach 30 to 45 minutes more of a class or a fitness experience and have like a dead phone or a storage-filled device. And then the third thing they can do is really help you with lighting. They can help you with where you position yourself in the shot, and if they can move the camera closer or move it further away, so it doesn't become a game when you're in a hurry to kind of set up for class of, can I see myself if I do this? And I'll film myself for a little bit and then I'll come back. So it makes it a lot easier for you to have someone there and just know that your experience is great and that you can just teach your class. So I highly recommend hiring someone. It could be your significant other, maybe your kids if you can trust them, to help you run that video smoothly and to help you connect with your participants on that second level. That's what live is so great for. You may not be able to see them, but you can see their comments, and maybe they are asking questions and you want to be able to see those in the fitness experience. The fourth suggestion or tip I have for you going virtual in your fitness or group experience is to purchase or use an actual microphone. And I'll do my best to share some links to microphones that I use. I would say if you want just a point and shoot microphone that you just connect to your phone and you can I've used tape to tape it to direct toward me if you have because it doesn't quite work with my tripod, but if you have a piece of tape that works and it can stick to it, as long as the microphone is facing you, you're good to go for a point and shoot. And it's been really, really helpful for recording someone's voice. And then in a little kind of spin-off here, when you're playing music, making sure that you have like a Bluetooth speaker. I have a little baby one, and I put it right about a foot away from my camera, and that's been just right for the Bluetooth speaker to be playing music. I still haven't found the perfect volume yet. I'm working on that. And then having the point and shoot mic. So the point and shoot mic is getting my voice, it's amplifying my voice a little bit. So I'm talking over the music, but you can still hear the music pretty well. So I would say if you're going to be using music, that's really helpful, and kind of positioning that speaker closer to the camera versus near you is going to be helpful. But then you also want to make sure the volume's correct, and that's going to be some trial and error so that you get the volume correct on the music and then the volume of your voice as well. And I'm going to give you lots of good tips on sound, but sound is almost more important than your sound is almost more important than your visual. So even if you have the most amazing camera, if your sound is really bad, people aren't able to follow or understand what you're saying. So it's really important you have good sound. The point and shoot I have is a Rode, R-O-D-E microphone. It's not super expensive. I'm going to put the link in the description. And then the second thing that you can use, that I've taken a yoga class from someone I know who's doing virtual classes, and she uses, it's called a Keema Fun, K-I-M-A-F-U-N, Keema Fun. And it comes with basically a receiver, a Bluetooth receiver that you connect to your audio port, and you wear the microphone similar to this one. This one's a wired microphone. So I'm waiting for mine to come in the mail. It should be here tomorrow. And that was reasonably priced too. It's only like $50. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on a couple other just technological websites. I didn't buy it on Amazon because it takes forever right now with all the shipping issues. It's not essential, which I understand. So that is one that you would actually wear on yourself, and I'm really excited to see how that works with background sound as well as me actually being plugged into the audio port. So we'll see how that one goes. And I think those two are the most advice I can give you at the moment, reasonably priced and really helpful for amplifying your sound. So I will say that that's going to take your video to the next level, take your experience to the next level. If they can hear you, they're going to be much happier. The fifth tip I have is natural light is the best light. So I am next to my window right now. It not only makes you look pretty good, but it also helps amplify just all of the natural features. So you can, and there's less harsh shadows. So I've seen instructors have like a big spotlight on them while they're teaching, and that creates these big shadows. It even creates shadows on the floor, and it makes it distracting. And then you want to make sure whatever natural light you have is either to the side of you, so it's lighting up your face and your whole body, versus or in the front of you, versus behind you. So you don't want natural light or really any light behind you, because you'll become a silhouette. And I've been learning that. I've been filming at a park, and unfortunately I'm filming in the morning, and when I time it, I've learned the hard way, it's all learning. As the sun comes up and I continue teaching, it becomes A, really hot, and B, the sun is just providing this silhouette. So it's beating down behind me, and it makes me start to disappear. You can see my movements, but you can't quite see my face, which I think is a really important part of teaching, is you need to be able to see those eyeballs. So I'm learning those lessons. Find the lighting, make sure it's either in front of you, to the side of you. Avoid that lighting being behind you. And I promise, natural light will be so much better than any other light. So natural light. And then set up your camera height to be at about eye level as much as possible. I'm still playing with this, because what you really just don't want to have happen is that you're looking down at your participants, because that isn't enjoyable for anybody. So, and it doesn't always look the most flattering. So lift up your camera. If you don't have a tripod, which is I think my next thing I'm going to tell you guys, invest in a tripod. They're not very expensive. You can hook your phone up to it. You can hook a camera up to it. They are amazing. They're amazing because they're easy to set up. You don't have to mess around with propping up your phone, and then it could slide down and it could fall. So I highly recommend lifting your camera up, making sure it's on a tripod so it's stable and it's elevated, and it can actually help you get it pretty even, pretty level. I highly recommend lifting that camera up. So if you're standing up and you're trying to get lots of a visual, make sure it's nice and high so you're not looking down at your participants. It also makes you look really confident and like you're prepared for class. So so instead of like hunching over and looking down at them, you have that upright posture, which I know body language is huge. Okay, the seventh suggestion and tip I have for you is to shoot with an actual camera. So what I mean by that is if you are using your phone, that's fine because you can go live through your phone. There are certain actual cameras I'm learning you can go live with, so I need to learn more information on that. I actually learned that from someone who was trying to live stream weddings, and they recommended a camera you can use. So you could use a real camera, but if you are using your phone, I would say use the actual real camera, the built-in camera that's on the back of the phone. That's a much higher quality camera than if you turn the camera around and go into selfie mode. So highly recommend turning your camera around, even though you won't be able to see those great comments during a live stream. That's where your friend becomes really helpful to see those things, those questions, those hellos. But I can't emphasize enough that having the camera facing you is going to make that picture so much better, and it'll translate better once you put it on any other device. So when you try to move that video around, highly recommend using the actual camera on your phone. So again, having the camera facing you, and then not the selfie camera. And then if you do actually have a real camera, use that. I highly recommend that. Number 8 is using a tripod for your phone or camera. So I knew I was going to be mentioning that later. I kind of mentioned this earlier, but I do want to mention 3 things when it comes to live streaming. So obvious reasons to have that tripod so it looks professional, looks stable, looks good. And then second is, and then the 3 things I want to mention are how to go live on different platforms. So Facebook, the best way to go live right now, and this is April 2020. So if you're looking at this video later, like a couple years later, maybe I've updated it in the description, but right now, April 2020 on Facebook, you want your camera to be sideways. So doing landscape is going to be the best for those live videos. And I personally love it because it makes it very, very easy to to move around as an instructor. You have a lot more space if you are far enough away from that camera so that you can move right and left. You aren't super worried. You have a lot more room to move around in. So Facebook is going to be that horizontal. You also can leave live streams on Facebook forever, from my understanding. Again, this is April of 2020. Not sure if that's going to change, but it currently stays in your live stream. And a quick hint is, if you have people looking through your feed for past videos, if they want to access them in a much easier way, is to go to your videos. So if they go to your photos in Facebook, there's a little icon that says photos, and then in that menu of your personal photos, there's a video tab in the upper right hand corner. And if they hit that, then they can actually go to they'll see all of your live stream videos saved there. And you can save your videos on Facebook, so I highly recommend doing that, just so you have an extra copy of that. It's saved within Facebook though. If you save it on your phone or device, you can do that as well. We've found that the quality goes down quite a bit, so just FYI on that. Then we have Instagram. Instagram, when you go live, you do have to go vertical when you go live. So vertical on Instagram, horizontal on Facebook. And then all other saved videos. So if you are filming on YouTube, I'm not sure about YouTube Live, but I'm 99% sure that you would want to do it horizontal, because for any other YouTube videos, you want them to be horizontal because it just gives you that nice big picture. And YouTube is actually starting to become more and more watched on an actual TV. So, and when your members do blow up the workout so that they can watch it on a computer or a TV, having that horizontal visual is going to be much more pleasing for them for that experience. All right, we're halfway there. Number 9, we're almost halfway there, is to start your class, especially if it's a live stream, 5 to 10 minutes before class actually begins, or your fitness experience or your meeting, whatever it might be. Start early so that you have that time for any early people to say hello, to give them an idea of what to expect, to give them a suggestion on what to grab, what to bring, what to set up, how much space they might need, if they need to be wearing shoes. All of that great information. And then it can also, again, create that extra community. They can connect one-on-one with you. They can say hello to whoever's starting to come into the live stream. And it just creates that added experience of connection for your participants. And you would never want to be late for your own live fitness experience, right? So don't be late online either. It doesn't look so good. Then make your class duration or your fitness duration. What we've found is that's the most popular time slot for like a recorded class, so something that people are looking for on YouTube, is around 20 to 30 minutes. People just are distracted at home. They have the dog or the kids, or they have to get dinner ready, or they just only have 25 minutes, or they have 30 minutes, or they're just really tired, but they want to get a workout in. So 20 minutes-ish is going to be a good timeline. So you do kind of feel rushed as a fitness professional, but it's a really good challenge. And then 45 minutes, I would say, for our live streams has been perfect. Around 45 minutes, because I've been filming a lot of our live streams, I start to see people, or the eyeballs start to dwindle as the instructor continues teaching. So also, I'd recommend saying some things at the end that maybe are like little Easter eggs for people to have toward the end. If, like, say in the comments toward the end, to try to keep them there. Hey, say you're going to make an announcement or something at the beginning of class, and then say, stay till the very end so you can hear that announcement. And it can try to helpfully help them through staying for that cool down, because that's very important for them. And as we know in our live classes, our real life in-person classes, they tend to take off right when that cool down's about to happen. So we don't want that to happen even in our virtual classes. So aim to make your classes shorter, about 20 to 45 minutes. And just to consider the distractions they have from home. Suggestion number 11 is to use as little equipment as possible in your fitness class or experience as you can. I highly recommend that, because it gets frustrating when someone's consistently doing workouts with equipment someone doesn't have, and they really want to participate and they really want to enjoy your classes, but they're limited to the equipment. You can get creative in creating classes that use things like water bottles, canned food, backpacks with books in them. My team did a great job coming up with a nice list for our participants to have on hand that they can use. Laundry detergent and cat litter with those like handles on them, those containers with handles on them, amazing. Or just maybe it's like an old Lysol wipe container that is filled with sand or something heavy, rocks, whatever you want. And then maybe have them weigh it so they can make sure that whatever they're holding in one hand is even in the other hand. And I've been pleasantly surprised when I'm teaching my classes, if I'm using like water bottles or something fun, if I make the movements hard enough and create longer levers that make it really intense, something as light as like 2 to 5 pounds can really start to feel heavy. So that comes down to you as well as the instructor, is to get creative on your exercises so that they don't necessarily need a ton of equipment to make that exercise difficult enough. So be creative in that regard. Number 12 is to always teach a warm-up and a cool down. I have seen a few people as they continue their live streams, and it might just be because they're running out of time or they just aren't planning quite ahead for their fitness experience. But I would say that without a warm-up, your body is not feeling ready for what you're asking it to do. So that's not going to leave anybody feeling great. Plus, going back to my liability question, if you run into an issue where someone does get injured, God forbid that ever happens, you don't want to be that instructor who's like, well, I didn't teach a warm-up when they ask you, or there was no cool down when they ask you, or what options did you give when they ask you. So very important as a safety, just as overall best practice as an instructor is to have that warm-up. And it doesn't have to be super long, 3 to 5 minutes at least. Getting their mindset ready and into class is really important too. So I really can't stress enough adding that warm up in. And then cool down again can be really, really short. It can be 5 to 6 minutes. It can be very brief. It can be a good opportunity to help describe what they did throughout class that day, how they should be proud of themselves, and it can really help you kind of wrap up the fitness experience at the very end. So do your absolute best. I would highly, highly recommend not getting rid of the warm-up and the cool down. Tip number 13 is to be energetic, excited, and inspiring. Your participants, it's hard when there's a camera in front of you and there's not a bunch of smiling faces and you're not receiving that eye-to-eye feedback. It's really hard to be excited the entire time. But I tell you right now that your audience is just eating it up, especially in these tough times we're going through. They need you more than ever. Not just as a fitness professional, you can be a professional or fitness professional all day long, but if you can create a great, positive, motivating, exciting, inspiring experience, they are going to just leave feeling so good and feel like they actually were able to do something they have control over, and it will just set off their whole day in a better way. So please do take it up a notch. Take it up higher than you would in a packed full class. And remember that if you get anywhere from 20 to 40 to 100 people watching your live stream, imagine those hundreds of people. How often do you get to do that in real life? Imagine all those people are there watching you, rooting for you. So again, imagine that you have like the world's biggest class, and don't let that make you nervous, and that can kind of make people shut down too. And I think people are nervous in this unusual environment of teaching virtually, but it is such a great opportunity and so important for you to be as positive as possible. Just make it exciting, make it fun. And then make sure that you also are giving them a good introduction of who you are. So as well as being excited, tell them who you are, tell them how excited you are to be teaching that day, and remind them that you're there for them. Make it all about them, not about you. So tip number 14, tell the participants what to expect. So along with giving that really exciting, amazing introduction of who you are and how excited you are to be there, the next layer is that real, true expectation setting. Or setting up the expectation. So should they be wearing shoes if it's a yoga class or a bar class? Maybe not, and then give them an idea of if they need to wear shoes, they totally can. How long will your class experience be? And make sure you stick to that. Don't lie to your participants. If you say it's going to be 45 minutes and before you know it, it's 65 minutes, put a watch on your wrist so that you're able to keep track of that time. Be honest. And then what is the format? If it's kickboxing, maybe people are trying this for the first time ever because they're actually more brave in their home where there's no eyes on them, or if their dog's there, he's not going to judge them, or she's not going to judge them. Hopefully not. But they feel more comfortable to try new things, and that's been huge for our team, is helping people try new formats with new instructors or different instructors that they'd never taken from before. So tell them what the format is, explain the format as if they've never ever taken it, or they don't even know what it is. And then for fusion formats, if you're doing, like we've been doing a bar class and then finishing off with about a 20-minute yoga experience, explain when that transition is going to happen, and then give them an idea of exactly what that's going to look like, what each format is like, what they should feel, so that they're prepared for that. And then if you're doing a higher intensity class with intervals or any kind of rep count, make sure they know right up front what that rep count's going to be. And then if you have a timer for them, that you're going to tell them how long they have left, and that you're going to communicate with them how many rounds there are, how many exercises there are, what their interval amount is going to be, and then what is their rest going to be. So you're very clear about all of that. Tip number 15, avoid at all costs using licensed choreography programs. So what I mean by that is don't use Les Mills unless they've of course given you permission. Don't use Zumba, don't use High Fitness, don't use Piloxing. Any fitness program that has the name of the program and then like a licensing mark or watermark, making sure that you are not doing that class, not teaching that class. If the way we have gotten around that a little bit with our club is we've used unlicensed music and that wasn't provided by that company, and the instructors who may have taught Zumba or Piloxing or whatever, we just made up a name that's a little more vague. So we've used, we didn't use their choreography exactly, elements of like lunge, like you can't steal, there's no trademark of a lunge in fitness. There's no trademark of a salsa or a cumbia, certain like movements in those dances. Those are all just, anyone can do that. There's no way you can copyright those things. Different combinations of those, if you teach a song that actually is a Zumba song with all of the choreography that's the same, that's when you're going to get in trouble. So I would say just play fair with those companies, and they're getting used to this whole situation as it is. They aren't quite sure how much they want to give or not give, and so just avoid it altogether and don't use those formats. So don't put their name in your description for the classes that you're teaching. Don't give them a shout out or anything, because the difference is if you do, you're kind of claiming that you're teaching that class. Also, there's algorithms that they've created or worked with Facebook or YouTube on to make sure that anyone who puts that in their video without their permission is eliminated. So what I mean by that is you can actually have your video completely shut off. You could have it be taken down later, which really stinks because your participants might have been really enjoying that class, watching it over and over again, and then it's gone. So I highly recommend not using those formats right now unless things change. And then with that, when it comes to music, using unlicensed music. It's just so good to avoid the headache. People can't really hear the music anyways in a live stream. They can hear the beat, they can finding that distance for my Bluetooth speaker has been really helpful. It's actually made the music quality pretty good. But if you're doing a Zoom class or a class where it's like an actual virtual meeting, the music is not going to be good, and there's going to be a decent delay anyways. So find music that just has a solid beat that you as the instructor can follow and understand if you're teaching to the beat of the music. And it creates a little bit of energy, but it's not distracting, and it cannot be the original artist because it'll, again, be completely shut down. So we don't want that to happen. Again, use unlicensed music. Some options for that are muscle mix, power music is a good one, 32 mix, and then Fit Radio I've found has worked pretty well. A lot of them are the original artists, but knock on wood, we haven't had anything get shut down from using Fit Radio. SoundCloud is another option, but those music companies basically mix the music up so it's not the actual song by the original artist. So highly recommend doing that. Don't use Spotify if you can help it. Spotify does have some unlicensed music, and they say it's unlicensed, but we have run into issues for whatever reason of them being played and then being taken down or silenced or muted. So avoid that altogether, unlicensed music. And they have versions of high intensity songs, and they also have some good yoga music. They have good Pilates music. check out what they have. I'll put those in the notes as well. Tip number 17, provide lots and lots and lots of options. So this is a safety disclaimer, as well as helping your participants feel successful. No one wants to be doing an at-home workout and feel like a fool, feel like I can't keep up with this person. I'm never going to be able to do all the things that she or he is trying to make me do. You don't want them to feel that way. This is ultimately, it's not about really fitness right now. It seriously is about just making people feel good. So I cannot stress enough how much great feedback we've gotten from people who've done our classes virtually, and it set us apart because they were like, I so appreciate all of the options you were giving me, so that if I didn't feel like or couldn't do something, I was able to do something else and still keep up and still feel successful. So let's make sure they feel successful by giving them lots of options. By options, I mean if you're doing jumping jacks or tuck jumps in your choreography or movement, give them the option of a squat, give them the option of tap backs, give them the option of low impact jacks. Give them a lot of options. And then again, create abilities to use unique equipment, and then create varied intensity. So if you are addicted to teaching to the beat of the music, start slow and then layer additional movements to that. So maybe you start with something simple. Let's give a kickboxing example of simply a front kick, and you break it down really slow. So you're like knee up, kick out, pull in, come back down. Slow and controlled. And then as you start to feel like someone would get it, because again, you can't see them, so you have no idea if they're getting it or not. If they're getting it, hopefully by a few reps, then you start to bring up the intensity, bring up the speed, and then remind them they could always take it back to that slower tempo. That'll make or break the experience for so many people too. So we want people to be trying fitness right now more than ever, and we want them to have a great experience. So make sure you think about everybody when you're teaching your class. Provide lots of options is number 17. Number 18 is I see you. Make them feel like you see them. Make them feel like you feel their energy. You feel them trying. You feel them there with you. So again, you may not, while you're teaching, know how many people are watching. You may not know what they're saying, but you just have to create this positive mindset of like the dream class you've ever wanted to teach. It's full of amazing positive people. They are just loving the format that you're teaching, and you just have to create that environment in your mind while you teach your class. So I highly recommend. And then if you know who's there, so if your person who's helping you film this class tells you, Sally just jumped on, she's so excited, she loves that jump kick move you do and the twist, and then you can jump in and go, Sally, thank you so much, I thought of you when I made that move. And Sally's just gonna like feel like a rock star and feel so amazing. So shout out to your people, help them feel like you see them, give them encouragement, give them positive feedback, say their name if you know who they are and if they're watching. Number 19, do your best with your voice. And I speak really fast and I tend to be all over the place, and I'm really working on that, but really try to enunciate when you speak when you're going virtual. There can sometimes be a lag, especially if you're on like a Zoom or a chat room, and they're on live, there's even, I think, a little bit of a delay. So you might be seeing, or your person who's filming might be seeing everything going perfect, everything going smoothly, but their internet might be kind of weird and they're hearing every other word. So you need to be very specific and clear with your words. Be very clear with what you're saying. Make sure what you're saying is important to the actual class experience. Try your best to avoid distractions in what you're speaking about, and just really try to enunciate. Try to slow down what you're saying. Try to enunciate what you're expecting of them. And give time, give room, give breaks in what you're saying for them to feel whatever they need to be feeling. So give their body some time to adjust to whatever movement you're teaching. So slow down a little bit. And then last but not least, number 20, no word vomit. And if you've watched any of my videos before this, check out the no word vomit video. In a studio, an example of that is if you were actually in your studio and you were like, man, it's hot in here, I'm so hot. And then all of a sudden the whole room feels like it's hot. So do your best not to distract from the experience. by saying anything about how you're feeling or what's happening around you. Maybe you're outside in a park filming your class and a huge truck semi goes by. They might not have even heard it. That's something I'm learning when I rewatch my classes, is that some crazy like hammer could be happening in the background, and half the time they don't even hear it. So try not to bring attention to it, especially since if they can't hear it, it's just distracting, you bringing it up. If the sun starts to hit you just right and you're feeling hot, they aren't feeling hot. They have no idea what's going on. So just try to avoid talking about anything that's unrelated to the class experience. That doesn't mean you can't relate to them. So you're welcome to, of course, say, man, my glutes are feeling this because of this, this, and this, and feel free to talk about them when it's related to fitness, but try your best not to distract from the experience itself. Definitely do not, I think number one rule would be to do not talk about politics right now. Don't apologize for anything that goes wrong with your technology right now. That's a word vomit thing, because that's just not fair to you. You're doing your absolute best to provide this great experience, and you've put in the time and the effort to go live or to film your class and to download it and render it and upload it. It's not easy to do that. So don't apologize. You don't need to apologize to anybody. So those are our 20 things. I'm going to put them all in the notes, get as descriptive as I can, and then feel free to comment if you have any questions. I do have a bonus info, is that at the end of whatever you're teaching, a live stream or a recorded video, is to ask them to share. So you do have to ask them for the share. If you've noticed, something that I've been doing in my videos more and more is to try to ask for the share, ask for the subscribe, ask for the like, ask for the comment, ask them to share it with other people, ask them to hit a notification bell. They have that on Facebook. They can add you on Instagram. You can do notifications on Instagram as well. In YouTube, you can add notifications so that they're notified when you're going live or when you're posting a video. So ask them to do that. Ask them to subscribe to you. Ask them to give you feedback, because the more that people are not only looking at your content, but responding to it, but reacting to it, the better it's going to be for you and the algorithms and all that great stuff that we have to deal with social media and just the world we live in right now. So what I really hope this video does is gives you the tools and the step-by-step list of how to be successful in this new world we're all trying to be successful in. And I sincerely wish you all the best of luck. I wish the technology gods to be with you in whatever your endeavor you're trying to do, and just do your best. I hope to turn off all the noise. You are doing your best. Do your best to provide whatever fitness experiences you can to as many people as you can right now in a healthy, safe way, and we will all get through this. I'm here with you. Feel free to comment. Feel free to leave me any feedback or questions about what content I've given you today. And I'm going to give my own ask right now is to, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and please definitely hit that notification bell in YouTube if you can, so that you can see my new content. I'm doing this weekly. That's my goal, is throughout, really forever. I want to do my best to have at least one weekly video for as long as possible. Thank you again for watching.